Hey guys, how are you doing? Happy Monday. So I am here to share some more of the 21 days of prayer for your business with you. If you have not seen this before, I have been doing this for, almost a week and a half, I guess now, sharing with you guys some great information from this book called The 21 Days of Prayer for Your Business by Monique McLean. This is a great book to do. Doesn't necessarily have to be business. Has a lot of great information in here on just life in general. And if you missed the previous ones, you can find them on my YouTube channel at Mama Gone Granola. So we are going to start today with day 11. We're a little bit behind. I was out of town all weekend and just flew back this morning. So a couple days behind, but that's okay. So we're going to start with day 11. And if you have questions, make sure to type them in the comments. If you're watching the replay, let me know so I can come back and say hi to you. So day 11 is creative problem solving. So with business and in life, anything really, we have to learn how to really be creative in solving problems because there's going to be all kinds of things that come our way. And so the first part she talks about here is if you really want to find success in your business, and I say in your life too, then you have to see problems and obstacles as opportunities, not as things that are really setting you back, but use them to grow from and learn to move forward. As she says, provide the platform for you to step to the plate and be creative. And then her second little part here is try, and try again. Failure isn't a failure if you learn something from it. So again, using that obstacle, whatever it is that happened, and growing from it and learning and moving forward. She talks about successful people get back up. They try again. They don't just sit in the corner and cry. Successful people don't constantly complain that things are too hard. They find the problem as a challenge and then they tackle it with everything they have and they just go for it. So that's kind of the difference there. And then, of course, she talks about relying on God, making sure that you are relying on Him and not you because you cannot do this. You need Him to be there and rely on Him. When we're weak, He is strong. Remember that, yes, Jesus loves me, a song, we all know that. So He can do immeasurably more than you can ask or imagine. Every week, my church, that is like what we pray every week, that prayer, and ask that that God would do immeasurably more than any of us could ask and imagine. And it tells us that He can, and that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. I know you guys, some of you might know that verse. So we want to think that we actually have this, but really, the saying, God's got this. So, we like to say sometimes, you've got this. And that's true, but who ultimately does is God. God has this. He's got it in the bag. And then the couple of verses that she gave us for this day were, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. James 1:5. And the second one is in Proverbs 2:6, for the Lord gives wisdom, from His mouth come knowledge and understanding. Love those. Those are great. Okay, let's move on to day 12. So day 12, we're talking about building a community. So community is so important in life and business, to have that community of people that can be really encouraging to you and just walking beside you. The first verse here that she gives us in Hebrews is, let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. So when we meet together and we do life together, it's what my church says too, is why we do small groups, okay? We can spur one another on toward love and good deeds. We can bring encouragement to one another. So it's the same thing in your business and in life. So like in life, I said we do like small groups at our church to build community. It's the same thing with your business, to find those people that you can run with and who can encourage you. She talks about here there's safety in numbers. The race of life is challenging, and we need people that are running alongside of us, that are encouraging us to keep on keeping on. And we need to be encouraging to others and do the same thing. When you give out encouragement, you will receive it. All right, don't stick to the sidelines. Encouragement comes in more ways than just one. Many times we think of encouragement as just helping someone through a hard time, but we can also encourage others with the life we live. So it's not only just, the words that you speak, but it's by the way you live. We can spur each other towards love and good deeds as we embrace love and good deeds in our lives by doing things. So, she talks about a little story here, and then I don't want to give too much away in the book, and then talks about how it inspired her to not just sit on the sidelines observing, but to actually jump the fence and do something about it. So don't be the person that's just kind of hanging out, sitting along. Get up and do something and give those words of encouragement and live that life so that you can give encouragement and be an encouragement to others, and you will receive that as well. So what keeps you from community? So she kind of talks about here, maybe you've been a part of a group where you got your feelings hurt, or you've been rejected, or somebody let you down. She just wants you to think about those things, write them out, and then walk in freedom from your past. Don't live in those moments. Allow those pains for you to grow. Growing pains. All right. Love this verse here. This is Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. Love that one. So, and I highlight a couple things in, like I told you, at the end of each section, she has this beautiful prayer that she does, and then she tells you to walk it out, the different things you can do throughout the next day, week, whatever, is to help us find friends and a community of people who are seeking after you, who want to know your ways and walk in those ways. Love that. All right, moving on, day 13. So this is surviving conflict. Again, kind of a little goes hand in hand kind of with what we just, the creative problem solving. So now we're going to talk about actually surviving the conflicts that you might be going through. Learn how to problem solve them and then move forward. So you're going to have conflict. We all do, in business and in life. And she says that's the bad news, is that you're going to have it for the rest of your journey. But the good news is you can survive conflict. Once you give God control and find freedom, and discover your unique design, like we talked about before in a couple of the first days there, gain that vision, become intentional with all that you're doing, and you're growing and you're not giving up. You're living the life of worship. You are seeking God. You're embracing excellence. These are all the things that we've talked about, kicking that perfectionism to the curb, becoming creative problem solver, and building that community. She says it's not always rainbows and unicorns, but if you have those things, you are going to continue to move forward, you're going to continue to grow, and you're going to be successful in all that you do. So conflict happens way more than we want to admit, and we have to know how to handle it. All right, so she tells this story. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Up. I watched it with my kiddos, and it's a really cute movie. And so she talks about, her title of this little section is Very Few People Wake Up Evil. I was like, what's she gonna talk about here? So very few people wake up evil, and then she tells the story of the movie Up. And so if you haven't seen it, there's a man, his name is Carl, I think. Let me see. Yes, Carl Fredricksen, I believe. Or I'm sorry, no, Carl is not yes, okay. So he is. And at the beginning, he met a little girl named Ellie, and they got married and they grew up. And she dies, I believe, is what happens. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think she does. Yes, okay. So she dies, and they have this house, and she always wanted this life of traveling and different adventures and stuff. And he, in his mind, is thinking that that he didn't give that to her before she died. So he's in this house, and the construction crews, I think, are working around, and they're wanting to get rid of his house. And so he ends up tying like balloons to the house, and then he floats off because he wants to go to this place where he knew that his wife wanted to go. And so he's trying to kind of complete this memory for her. But at the beginning, he comes out, and everybody thinks he's this grumpy old man. And he comes out, and they're trying to, I think, tear down the house or something. And I want to say somebody hits the, like a mailbox or something. And he, yes, it was the mailbox. Okay, here we go. Mailbox, and they had their handprints on it. Him and his wife had put their handprints on the mailbox, and so he was very upset. And he came outside, and he ended up hitting the man with his cane. And at that point, everybody's looking at him like he's crazy, and he's this mean, old man. And so her point of the story is, they didn't understand us watching the movie because we saw the background of what was going on. To us, our heart was breaking for this man because it was really sad. And we're like, oh, he's so upset, and that's why he lashed out. But the people that didn't see the backside of that story thought that he was just this old, grumpy, mean man. And so her point is that we sometimes are just standing on the sidelines looking at a situation, judging and shaking our head, like, how could they act like that, or how could they do that, without really knowing what that person has been going through. So for a brief moment, she says, we forget, that people who are hurting tend to hurt others, and hurting people hurt people. So we really need to learn to find out, if we can find out what's going on, and be that encouragement for that person. And at the same time, when people are acting out or lashing out or whatever, give them grace, because you don't know what's been going on. And we've all done that, I'm sure, ourselves as well. So she talks about here, whether we have let someone down or it's just something we're making up in our minds, it can weigh us down. And that heavy weight leaves us insecure, and those insecurities can come to the surface and cause hurt to others and to ourselves. So we ask the Lord to give us a heart for that other person who, has either been through something or has maybe hurt us and been in a conflict, because it's a two-way street. Okay, and then let me give you a couple of these verses here. So John 13:34, a new command I give you is love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Anyone who claims, that's Matthew 22:37 through 39, and then 1 John 2:9-10, anyone who claims to be in the light but hates a brother or sister is still in the darkness. Anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. So ask the Lord to help us to love others as we love ourselves, and ask the Lord to help us love others the way that He loves them. And to remember that story about Carl Fredricksen in the movie Up, and how hurt he was. And so the people that were watching from the outside did not see that and were very judgmental and thought that he was just an angry old man. But seeing on the other side, he was hurting. And it was very sad. His heart was hurting, and he just lashed out. And immediately afterwards, he knew that he did. So that is day 13, surviving conflict. Love it. All right. Sorry. Got choked there. So next we're going to move on to day 14, and I don't know how many days we'll do. I try not to do more than 2 or 3 on here because the videos get too long. But the last couple ones have been too long, and I can't post them on Instagram. But they are on my YouTube channel, so you can catch all the replays there. All right, guys. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope everybody's got fun plans for Thanksgiving. And I will see you soon. Bye.